Bada bing, bada boom, Facebook. What's up?
Hey.
I got the lovely Leslie Grace of Ritual Tantra right here in my little virtual box. We're hanging out in this tiny little virtual box together. It's kind of hot. And we're going to be talking about a delicious weekend we have coming up and some of our own experiences, integrating our sexuality into our lives. You're in for a treat or two or three. Thanks for showing up. And I guess I'd just like to start by introducing this lovely human being who I met a little over a year ago, I think, and have had just some exquisite encounters with since we first met, both playfully exploring our own just experiences at our own edges of our sexual world, and talking a whole lot about how fun it would be to collaborate. And
The creative sparks have been flying, shall we say.
they have been flying and catching shit on fire left and right, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And so I'm so excited to actually finally have an opportunity to collaborate with you, Leslie, coming in March for a full weekend.
My divine pleasure. I think it's going to be so fun to work with you. So getting really excited about it. And I've just been seeing everything that you've been putting out in the world, especially your men's work, and just feeling really inspired by what you're bringing. And what I love most about kind of how you're bringing it is like full power, Joshua, like full power, full desire, full embodiment, but tons of heart, tons of presence, and I think that one of the biggest reasons why I'm doing this work is to help people integrate all of those together. And so, I see a lot of people, it's easy to express all the desire and the power, but they're kind of a little more timid when it gets to the intimacy stuff. Or people, it's like so easy to be kind and in the heart, but then, that passion and power is a little challenging or edgy. So for me, it's like, let's bring the full alignment. So I'm stoked to get to work with you and see what magic you bring to the weekend.
Thank you. Yeah. And you've been at this for so long, sharing this work with so many people. And I know that I'm just thrilled to have an opportunity to see you at work in front of a room in a big group. And just every single time we get together and have a discussion, I feel like we find a place where we're both sort of at our own edge, just exploring truly like what is happening here. And I really do love the way you pointed at this like balance of heart and juiciness, right? Like there are so many people who are walking one or the other side of this paradigm really beautifully, and we all have an edge somewhere to sort of work on, right? So I'm so excited to invite folks to just experiment, and maybe you don't know where yours is yet, and I promise that with a little experimentation, you might just find it, and how lovely it can be to be in a community of people who are all together to explore that edge. To be supported by and explore it with.
Well, let's face it, everybody has stuff around sex. Everybody. I've been doing this for years, and I still have all my stuff about sex and guilt, shame, all my Catholic upbringing, all my fears about being too much or too expressive or making someone uncomfortable or jealous, or, expressing my sexuality in a way that may make people not respect me or not trust me, or right. So we're all working to integrate those elements into our lives in a way that really feels right for us and really feels true. So, I don't think anybody gets out of the guilt shame thing around pleasure and desire. And it's like, we all got to grapple with it. And especially in the kind of world that we're living in today with, all these, this new hyper awareness around consent and, not wanting to overstep boundaries. And, so then gets to be this rigidity and this tension, like, how do I do it right? And everything goes up into the mind. And
well, and I mean, we just are collectively also trafficking in so much trauma around our sexuality, right? Like, if we're not trafficking around trauma about sort of having our consent violated at some point, we're trafficking in trauma around having violated somebody's consent. I know I've violated consent by my own current standards. In my history, I can say that I violated my own current standards of today's consent, and That's scary. I've also
As a
had.
woman, like I've stepped over my own boundaries countless times, you know, knowing what's really good for me or what would really feel good. And I'm like, oh, I just put up with something, or, oh, it's okay. It's no big deal. Or I'll just let it go. Or,
It'll be easier if I just like don't say anything. Or
you
just,
know, I'll just, you know, I don't want to make a scene, or it's
yeah.
like clean up all that stuff, clean it up. We got to look at it. And
Finding our power, finding our voices, finding our voices where we can claim what we really desire, and say no loud and clear when we are a no to something, and fuck yes when we are a fuck yes to something, right?
I made a post the other day saying that there's power in the taboo, and like what is, you know, asking what people's current growth edge is, and sexuality. Wow, everybody's got some taboos there. Everybody's got some hidden power that they have yet to fully embrace and integrate. And it's really like such an act of self-love. We were just talking about self-love a minute here before we got started, and you know, embracing all of who we are in these human lives, these bodies, these desires, and really our vulnerabilities too. That it's like we need to feel safe for us to really open and show ourselves to the world, and be that, you know, wild butterfly creature in the world. And so, you know, these kind of spaces that we in particular love creating, it's like, for me, the number one key is safety.
Yes.
Like, creating safety, creating the space for heart connection and for real communication to take place. So we really start with that foundation of trust and communication, and really like letting others see our vulnerability. And then from there, it's like, okay, now let's turn up the dial, right? Let's bring in more of the juice. Let's see where else we can express. And
absolutely. And it absolutely starts with that foundation of safety, to be able to lean out sort of beyond our comfort zone, right? But we start with really creating a really safe space for us to fall down and mess up, and you know, to have that courage to try something new. And God, if there isn't so much sort of love that I know I'm discovering for myself, the more that I find my courage and my willingness to be like more and more deeply vulnerable in my sexuality, the less I like am attached to performing my sexuality in a particular way that I've been taught or trained by all of the horrid conditioning that I have undergone in my life. And the more I start to actually ask myself what I really want, and the more I really tune in to how it feels moment to moment to moment with my partner, and the intelligence of my own body and my own cock and my own heart and my own sensitivities within that experience. And oh my God, there's so much to be discovered there.
And I think it takes a real leap of creativity, you know, to discover like what is the true path forward. What is the real way of expressing oneself that really feels right? You know, that's not trying to fit into the box, or, you know, meet the end goals, or oh, am I going to impress someone? Am I performing well enough? Am I going to, you know, like, you know, the old ways are dying, thankfully. And so it's like, we know all that shit's got to go, but then, okay, then what takes its place? What does feel right? What does feel true to express, and true to our own nature, to be in our pleasure and be in that way of communication and interaction that's really of service to both people, and really honoring that life flow that wants to come forward. All the old ways got to go, but
yeah. And you know,
together in that.
Yeah, and how do we remain really sensitive? Because I know that one of the things that will deaden my sensitivity the most is shame. The moment I start feeling shame, I just get shut down and I get caught up, and I can't, it's like there's like static on the line. I can't even hear my partner or what's happening in my own body, because all I can do is just be stuck in my shame. And so that's why, again, this process of establishing safety, and then very slowly like working our way out into unfamiliar territory from a zone of safety, and into unfamiliar zones of yumminess, right? One of the scariest things in the world is pleasure. one of the most overwhelming experiences that we have is pleasure. And one of the ways that we limit our lives most profoundly is in our capacity to experience pleasure in its many different forms, right?
And I think going back to the shame piece you were talking about, I mean, you were showing kind of this like constriction, this closure that happens in our system. And for me, like I think about it literally like on an energetic and physical level. It's like my system's crunching inward, like my heart and my belly are contracting. It's like all that energy just gets like pushed right up to my brain. And then I'm like, how do I do it? I don't know. Is it okay? Or, instead, the mind doesn't know how in the hell to have good sex or how to have fun or how to really be in pleasure. It's like the body is what knows, right? The body's got that piece. So it's more like, how do we come out of the mind and sink down into the body and learn to trust that flow to show the way.
Yeah, so much of like unlearning this whole programming of trying to figure out the right answer and just being in an experiment after experiment after experiment. That's literally like what the whole weekend is going to be about, is just an endless series of experiments in asking the question, like, what feels good now? What is this? Where's my pleasure now? Where's my pleasure and the pleasure of this person I'm interacting with cross over now? How can we articulate that to each other and find a mutual yummy yes?
What is the alive unfolding that wants to be happening right now?
Yeah.
So more so than any kind of esoteric practices or techniques or anything, what I value most about Tantra is just this way of being that's actually like being in real harmony with who I am and what I want and what I'm feeling in my body, and trusting my own body's knowing, and then bringing that into connection with another person. And so together we can like flow together in the space of like, okay, right, like we're both following this unfolding together, right, without needing to get anywhere in particular. So for me, that's like the essence of Tantra, is when we can align all that, bring our full vulnerability and our full power, connect that with somebody else, and then magic just happens from there.
Yeah, bringing full permission to staying tuned into that process, moment by moment by moment, making really conscious decisions about where we go with it and how we share it. Yeah. And we're going to have like 16 hours on March 16th and 17th, 16 hours of this kind of juicy exploration happening, 2 full days in the East Bay of living in our yum. It's
like, I think we absolutely need other people for this journey. It's like, you can't just sit on your own and like read a book about sex or, go to a talk about consent, or, it's like, we actually got to like get in there, like get messy, get like real with it, like move one's body, like try out different kinds of connection, different kinds of touch, different kinds of, listening to another's body, learning about how our own sexual energy wants to flow in us, like what feels good in my system, learning to trust all that, and also getting vulnerable, getting real about our shame. Like, we're going to also go really deep into vulnerability this weekend, and everybody's dealing with the same stuff, so we're all on the journey together, supporting each other's opening and celebrating each other. It's like we get to be everybody's sexy cheerleader, like, yeah, bring it on. Oh, I love seeing you when you really get out there,
And how can we embody these different parts of ourselves that like, that otherwise we don't have permission to embody. We don't have a space that can really be that, have that part cheered on. Like, I want to see your like inner animal come out. I want to see your like, maybe you're even like that like coy, timid part of you. Maybe you want to play that out a little bit. That's kind of cute. That's hot. Like what are all the different ways that we can embody? Maybe we've never had even the thought to embody our desire this way before. And we get to discover so much in there about ourselves and about what turns us on.
There's a participant last time, he gave me permission to share some of his story. He'd been in the military before, and he's in his 40s now, and he'd been, just knowing that there was something more for him to unlock around his sexuality and his sexual expression, but it was always kind of like really up here, like not wanting to do it wrong or, hurt someone or overstep a boundary. And over the course of the weekend, he was just like over and over throwing himself in and really just like giving it a go and like trying things out. And it you know, see him. We did a dance section and dancing through the chakras, different sexual energies, and he was kind of at the edge of the dance floor, and I could see him. He was like, he was really like just working it in himself, working the edges, like working the resistance, working the fear around letting that energy out. And, you know, multiple times throughout the weekend, beautiful tears and just like feeling so accepted by the others in the group. And then a couple of weeks later sent me a just most beautiful email. I was literally like, you know, tearing up myself reading it when you know, he said, I feel like I'm actually learning how to love myself now. Like, finally, after all this time, he's like, I've been dancing naked in my living room most nights. And, you know, sometimes my clothes end up on the floor and I'm just loving me. I'm like, oh my God.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
And you know, it's very significantly through the way that we let other people in that we learn to love ourselves, right? Like, again, like we're not here to be on this journey alone. We can fool ourselves on our meditation pillow all we want, you know? But, you know, when we bring what's real to another person and we get that reflection from them, when we bring our own desire to another person and we allow them to love us in that way, instead of withhold our desire from ourselves through them, God, such magic happens. Something utterly different and magical and powerful happens when we really start to bring that out into the world and voice it. Safe spaces and places where we're allowed to make mistakes, where we're allowed to exaggerate and play and miss the mark and be messy. You know?
In learning to give each other feedback in a way that's really compassionate, that's really sort of knowing that we're all doing our best, that, you know, we're not going to all show up and do everything perfectly right. You know, like, hey, I may not exactly give that touch in exactly the right way, but hey, if you ask, hey, would you do that a little slower? Oh, sure. Thank you so much for letting me know. You're like, we're all learning together and giving that kind of benefit of the doubt to other people that, you know, we're all doing our best here.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Just that one thing, like learning how to make adjustments, learning how to ask for what I want the way I want it.
And assuming that other people want to give it to me just right. Like they actually care about how I'm feeling.
They want to do it to you just the way you want it done. They totally do.
So I feel like if anything, gosh, like what I most want to give to people over the course of this weekend is permission. Permission to be, to like feel, to like bring it all, you know, bring it all. Fears, resistance, traumas, you know, bring all the desire, all the, you know, unmet needs, all the, you know, oh, I'm too much, or, you know, bring it all.
Bring the insatiable hunger. Bring all of it to the table.
Be seen in it. Yeah, all of it.
Yeah. So please, if you're not currently already booked, check out what we're doing on the 16th and 17th of March in the East Bay. We'll link the Facebook events to the subject and in the comments here, so you can check that out as you have a moment. It's going to be an absolutely delicious weekend of play and connection, movement, flow, inner exploration, inter-exploration, and Leslie and I will be sure to keep it right there at that hot and juicy and safe at the same time kind of spot. Yeah. Well, thank you, Facebook. That's it for today's Tantra little drop of Tantra for you. We'll bring some more in the coming days and weeks as we get closer to the event, and hope to see you very soon. Be well.
That's love.
And you can find Leslie at
ritualtantra.com, and I also do private work, so reach out to me if you feel like, oh, I'm not quite ready for the whole group thing, but I think the group thing is what you're quite ready for, in fact. And then Joshua can be found at
check me out at masteryourbullshit.com. Check out my coaching work and my communication stuff. And then, man, if you're interested in the men's work I'm doing, please check out the Brotherhood community. And we have 2 days left to if you are interested in joining us for a 10-week journey to help open up your capacity to approach women, to connect with women easily and playfully, to bring more of your desire to the table. We've just got a couple days left to get enrolled for our 10-week Authentic Dating Secrets.
Yes.
Shoot me a message. It's
going to be hot.
All right, friends. Be well. Thank you, Leslie. Mwah.
Mwah.